Welcome to another edition of eYe in Education. We're featuring the candidates for the Board of Education, the November 7th election. I'm your host, Ed Leicius, and joining us on this program is Rob Johnson. You may recall 2 years ago, Rob ran for the Board of Education, and he's back again. Welcome, Rob.
Second tries the charm, right?
Well, hey, you might be starting something. They say the third, but it could be the second.
Right, absolutely.
You've kind of, I imagine, kept involved and kept tabs on what's going on. So, as I said with previous guests, the media has changed in Nashua. We don't have a daily paper anymore, and radio is somewhat limited. So for our viewers today, why don't you tell them, who is Rob Johnson?
I'm Rob Johnson. I'm originally from Lexington, Massachusetts. Went to New York for a while, then moved up into Nashua in 2008. I have a graphic design business. I do branding and packaging mostly. And I have two kids. One's a senior and one's a junior, both at South.
And we were talking beforehand, you're going through that parental senior college crawl, I guess would be.
Right, absolutely. Getting to see a lot of different places. We've been to Ohio, been to North Carolina, been to Pennsylvania, so.
And it's just going to happen. He's going to come in one day and say, Dad, that's where I want to go.
Here we go,
And
let's
at least
go.
that's what you're hoping.
Right, absolutely.
So why are you running again, Rob?
I'm running again because I feel we still need improvements with the board. I feel that we still need to reach out more to people, to parents, teachers, and even students, to make them aware of the whys for board decisions. I mean, we're in a big transition right now. We have the new middle school. Kids will be going to new schools. We have to look at hopefully keeping all our schools open if possible, and that's something that I want to be part of.
Compared to the last time you ran, what would you say the two or three most important issues to you if elected in this next term?
I mean, a lot has changed over the last 2 years. Most important things are making sure that our kids are in a good place. They had that remote learning that set them back a little bit. So we got to really try to bring them up educationally and socially so they're back where they need to be, because I think they're still not quite there. And obviously it's going to be a big thing with new middle school, getting kids in place there and the teachers in place and the adaptation of different commuting to those schools. That's going to be a big project that we're going to have to work on the board.
You, as a parent of two, experience the at-home school learning via Zoom.
Yes.
How have your kids adjusted to now going back to the classroom?
It was definitely tough that first year back. They weren't used to it. My older kid did really well because he took to the remote learning and he transitioned back, and he luckily had sports to bring him back in a little earlier. My other kid had a lot of struggles, and I'd say it took about a year to get them into a place where they felt comfortable with it again, which is, again, why I feel we can't lose sight of that. We have to keep working with those kids to make sure we can get them back up to where they need to be.
One of the issues that the next board will be tackling is the redistricting, not so much of the secondary, because that's pretty much in place with a few tweaks here and there, but the elementary and the possibility, and you mentioned it at the outset, of keeping all the schools open, but the possibility of having to close one or two elementary schools. What's your thoughts on that?
I went through that experience as a kid, actually. My first elementary school closed, and it was hard. It was hard to adapt. It was hard to, as being a third grader going to fourth grade at a new school, you just weren't prepared for that, and it was very difficult. And that's why I really would like to see what we can do to keep the schools open. We need to sort of balance it out a little, because we do have some schools that have larger number of students, bigger classrooms, and if we can find a way to distribute those kids better, hopefully we can find a way to keep all our schools open. If we do have to close schools, we really need to look at those communities, and we need to make sure that we have in place what we need to make that transition, because it's going to be very hard on the students, on the parents, and even the people of the community who depend upon that school.
2 years ago when you ran, there was uncertainty, disagreement amongst the sitting board at the time. There was turnover in the superintendent's position. That seems to have changed.
Yeah.
Dr. Andrade seems to be here for the long term and has made some significant inroads. And the board seems to have gotten along better. How do you see yourself fitting if you're the only non-incumbent to be elected in November? How do you see yourself fitting in with the group now that seems to have gotten their disagreements behind them and are working a little more cohesively?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be easier than it would have been 2 years ago, because a lot of the problems have been taken care of, and we've moved ahead with the middle school. Kids are in school, and I don't see a situation where they would go remote again. So it's definitely easier than it would be 2 years ago, and hopefully I can come in and help the board where needed. Again, one of my big things is communication. I just want to make sure we're keeping people aware of what the board is doing, so they know, so they have that knowledge and don't have to ask questions on social media and get misinformation and get lost in that quagmire. We should be very direct with them and let them know what's going on.
You have a design background, but previous to that, in New York, you were involved at your college with a peer counseling program. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so what I would do is I was the coordinator of student activities, and I would have orientation leaders and guides for open house visits for kids. And I would have those same students then reach out to new students in the school, make sure they were comfortable, make sure they didn't have any problems, and also act as mediators between the school, between the students and the administration, or if it was a faculty issue, to make sure that those problems were addressed, but also that they had peers involved that would help represent their interests.
How do you feel that has helped prepare you for taking on a position as a board member?
Hopefully well. I mean, it does help to know about being a moderator, about working out differences with people. That was one of the biggest obstacles, and one of the biggest things to work with is when you have people who have opposite viewpoints, to try to convince them that we can reach a compromise and we can reach a solution where you don't feel left out and the problem is addressed. It may not be addressed the way you wanted it to be. You may have wanted something different, but at least you were informed and brought in, and you got to be part of that.
We have a couple of minutes left here, Rob, for our viewers who may not remember your run 2 years ago, or just might be tuning in and seeing us right now. What would you like to say to them on why they should vote for you on November 7th?
You should vote for me because I'll bring transparency and communication. I will represent everyone's interests on the board, and I will hope to reach a compromise that will help us advance as a community.
Rob Johnson, businessman, parent, and committed and interested individual in what's happening here in the city of Nashua. Thanks for being with us today, and good luck to you on November 7th.
Thank you, Ed. Greatly appreciated.
Thanks for running again.
Thanks.
You've been watching a special edition of eYe on Education. Our guest has been Rob Johnson, candidate for the board in the November 7th election. Our series with the candidates will be continuing. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.